Buongiorno, 5 minuti e iniziamo. Grazie. Good morning. Please take your seats. We are starting. Good morning. Welcome all. Welcome to the European Green Week Taranto, a sustainable path to fulfill the just transition. I am Marco Favia, Communication Manager for Calliope, the House of Emerging Technology of Taranto, and today I have the pleasure of guiding you through this event. At the heart of this initiative, the dialogue between Taranto and the Ida-Viru country, two regions that are facing a common challenge, reconverting fossil fuel economic model in a more greener and sustainable one. And today, during this event, we'll focus on the topics of just transition and the Just Transition Fund as a mechanism to accelerate the just transition. Before to start, a huge thanks to all our guests, and in particular to our Estonian guests that joined us here in Taranto in the last 2 days. So thank you very much again for staying with us today. We start with the first session in Italian and then we switch again in English. Quindi ho il piacere di invitare qui sullo stage il responsabile scientifico della Casa delle Tecnologie Emergenti Calliope, dirigente dell'ASL di Taranto, il dottor Rodolfo Sardone. Prego Rodolfo, raggiungimi qui.
Grazie.
Benvenuto innanzitutto e grazie per questa iniziativa organizzata da Calliope, dall'ASL di Taranto, dal Comune di Taranto e da tutti i partner della Casa delle Tecnologie Emergenti. Un evento che nasce da lontano, sono temi che all'interno della Casa delle Tecnologie Emergenti abbiamo già trattato. Lanciaci un input e raccontaci come nasce questa iniziativa e in che momento storico.
Sì, l'iniziativa nasce ormai da una collaborazione su base europea di un altro progetto che è il progetto Mistral, un progetto Horizon, che ci ha permesso, diciamo, di varcare i confini italiani e far parte di un cluster, che è un cluster che si chiama Meteor, che raggruppa tutti i progetti legati in qualche maniera alle tematiche della salute e dell'ambiente in Europa, ma non solo. E abbiamo avuto il piacere appunto di collaborare, di conoscere il professor Anzorru dell'Università di Tartu, che è una delle più importanti università estoni, ma diciamo con un profilo di ricerca e innovazione di altissimo livello internazionale. E da questa prima collaborazione sono nate successive collaborazioni fino ad oggi a Taranto, quindi pensate come, diciamo, sia semplice quando uno pensa in maniera europea, pensa in maniera internazionale, come sia semplice poi ritornare sul territorio con fatti concreti. Quello che abbiamo fatto in questi giorni è qualcosa di, direi, raro a queste latitudini, perché di fatto grazie al bollino, diciamo così, verde della European Green Week europea, che diciamo ospita in qualche maniera Taranto in questa giornata, proprio oggi, bollino che non è semplice da avere, è sempre su base competitiva e bisogna presentare delle progettualità. Abbiamo per fortuna, diciamo, avuto questo placet, questo sigillo che in qualche maniera ci ha permesso anche poi di attivare una collaborazione il cui risultato non sarà un semplice convegno, sicuramente importante, non sarà una semplice vetrina, ma di fatto è un accordo di cooperazione, quello che in inglese viene chiamato Memorandum of Understanding, ma di base è un protocollo che deve essere in qualche maniera supervisionato anche dall'Europa, ma all'interno del framework del Just Transition Fund, come dicevi tu, è il meccanismo per la transizione. L'Estonia ha dato grande valore a questo meccanismo, anche loro sono stati destinatari di questo importante fondo, hanno messo su tantissimi progetti, gran parte dei quali sono già avviati, la spesa è in uno stato estremamente avanzato e sicuramente possono con le loro best practice guidarci anche in qualche maniera e accelerare la nostra transizione. Noi da parte nostra sicuramente abbiamo una importante esperienza dell'Open Innovation, l'esperienza di Calliope è ormai risaputa e conosciuta sul territorio, e sicuramente diciamo, troveremo delle sinergie non solo scientifiche ma anche in termini di trasposizione di quelle che sono le idee innovative o le attività produttive innovative del territorio verso l'Estonia e viceversa. Quindi io darei, se possibile, la parola immediatamente al dottor Parlangeli, che è il direttore generale dell'Ufficio per le politiche territoriali e la cooperazione territoriale, di fatto è il direttore dell'autorità di gestione del Just Transition Fund in Italia, estremamente collegato, direttamente collegato con la Comunità Europea e con la DG Regio, e che in qualche maniera potrà ecco, partecipare attivamente a qualcosa che di fatto rappresenta una cooperazione, già rappresenta una cooperazione transnazionale tra la nostra nazione e la nazione estone nel framework del Just Transition Fund. Quindi se il dottor Parlangeri è collegato.
Sì, buongiorno.
Buongiorno direttore.
Allora, prima di tutto buongiorno a tutti, grazie per l'ospitalità, grazie a lei direttore per aver organizzato questa giornata di grande interesse sia per le tematiche e sia anche per il momento che in questo momento il Just Transition Fund rappresenta. Io sono Raffaele Parlangeli, sono l'autorità di gestione del programma nazionale GTF e sono il direttore dell'Ufficio per le politiche territoriali e la cooperazione territoriale. Ho ascoltato con interesse la sua presentazione, le sue anche motivazioni del programma, perché rappresentano già questa una ricetta rispetto a capire quali possono essere gli ingredienti che facilitano l'attuazione dei programmi. Le reti, lo scambio di esperienze, il riconoscimento da parte della Commissione di sigilli, la volontà di mettersi in discussione rispetto alle buone prassi ed esperienze, argomenti che noi sosteniamo naturalmente come Dipartimento, la possibilità di riuscire a capire quali sono gli elementi di semplificazione, quali sono le esperienze, quali sono gli argomenti che possono facilitare anche la modalità di attuazione o cogliere anche le nuove tendenze. Tutte queste dinamiche per noi sono di grande attenzione perché naturalmente possono rappresentare dei campi di attuazione nel programma, ma possono anche rappresentare un momento molto importante che è quello di cogliere anche le nuove tendenze che la Middle Review ci offre in questo momento per ridisegnare le politiche del programma rispetto ad un'azione di contesto più vicino alle esigenze dello stesso territorio. Rappresenta di fatto Taranto un'occasione straordinaria per andare a contestualizzare al meglio i fondi GTF, ma non solo. La provincia di Taranto è stata individuata a causa delle presenze di industrie pesanti, in particolare lo stabilimento siderurgico ex Ilva, i suoi impatti ambientali e sanitari. La transizione verso un'economia più verde richiede interventi strutturali per decarbonizzazione, bonifica ambientale, riqualificazione professionale. Questi sono i primi avvisi che il GTF proporrà nel mese di fine giugno, oramai è arrivato giugno, luglio, settembre. Con la Regione Puglia abbiamo già presentato un intenso cronoprogramma di avvisi che sono imminenti e sono stati anche condivisi con la Commissione. Il GTF anche naturalmente e un'altra parte del programma è legato al Sulcis Iglesiente ed è stato selezionato anche quest'area per la sua storica dipendenza dall'industria estrattiva e metallurgica, per le problematiche del polo industriale Portovesme, che a sua volta ha un impatto significativo sull'economia locale. Quindi il dialogo fra la contea di Ida Viru e Taranto è in questo momento credo dall'alto impatto significativo e dall'alta potenzialità, perché dà la possibilità di mettere insieme una serie di riflessioni su quella che è l'economia sostenibile, quella che è l'economia inclusiva e come le altre città, le altre esperienze possono mettersi a fattor comune rispetto alla possibilità di attuare al meglio le politiche europee. Concludo la mia riflessione e la mia attenzione rispetto a questa giornata, rispetto anche a un altro argomento. Le politiche europee rispetto alla dinamica di contesto in ogni nazione ci offrono degli straordinari strumenti talvolta comune, ma la differenza dei programmi naturalmente è rappresentata anche dalla modalità con cui si riescono a coinvolgere le comunità, le amministrazioni locali, gli attori economici e sociali. Questi possono fare la differenza. Io credo che in questo momento su Taranto c'è questa esigenza, c'è questa volontà che stiamo naturalmente recuperando ritardi, lo dichiaro con sincerità, ma lo spirito è quello di riuscire a mettere insieme argomenti legati al mondo accademico, al sistema imprenditoriale, a facilitare la governance territoriale, per far diventare Taranto il laboratorio europeo della transizione giusta. In questa dinamica, la composizione di questa delegazione oggi credo che sia un ulteriore momento di confronto, di condivisione, di motivazione, di stimolo a lavorare sempre al meglio. Sono convinto che il confronto fra Italia ed Estonia sarà proficuo e stimolante, creerà delle sinergie positive e sarà sicuramente la base per una collaborazione duratura e fruttuosa. Riepilegherò, diciamo, da questa giornata porterò una serie di appunti che credo siano utili, appunti, spunti e motivazioni che credo siano utili per attuare al meglio il programma. E da questo punto di vista naturalmente ringrazio tutti i partecipanti, l'organizzatore, il dottor Rodolfo Sardone, e tutti quanti voi per credere in questo programma e per credere comunque nella capacità di mettere insieme più attori per raggiungere gli stessi obiettivi. Vi sono grato e il Dipartimento è naturalmente a supporto e a disposizione per cogliere al meglio queste istanze. Grazie infinite.
Grazie a Raffaele Parlangeli e adesso lasciamo la parola all'onorevole Dario Iaia, responsabile unico del CIS, il contratto istituzionale di sviluppo di Taranto. Anche lui connesso online, verifichiamo se è già attivo e se ci sente. Onorevole,
Sì,
ci
sì,
sente?
vi sento bene.
Perfetto. Ha sentito le riflessioni del dottor Parlangeli, che cosa può dirci del Just Transition Fund come strumento per accelerare la transizione giusta in un luogo che dal punto di vista ambientale è stato attenzionato negli ultimi anni come Taranto? Prego.
Sì, grazie, buongiorno a tutti. Ringrazio il dottor Sardone per l'invito. Mi dispiace non essere con voi, ma sono in partenza per gli Stati Uniti con la Commissione Ecomafie per uno studio che faremo insomma la prossima settimana negli Stati Uniti. Un saluto a tutti i presenti che vedo in sala. Parlerete diffusamente questa mattina ed in maniera approfondita del JTF. Io vorrei aprire una parentesi su uno strumento importante che è strettamente collegato al JTF ed è appunto il CIS, il contratto istituzionale di sviluppo, rispetto al quale il governo Meloni ha ritenuto di nominarmi quale responsabile unico del contratto. Faccio questo riferimento perché gli strumenti finanziari europei ed italiani devono essere coordinati tra loro. Accade molto spesso, e nel sud ancora di più, che questi strumenti non siano interconnessi anche dal punto di vista politico, dal punto di vista tecnico e gestionale, per cui si verificano anche situazioni di duplicazioni di finanziamenti. Per cui la prima considerazione che mi sento di fare è quella della necessità di un coordinamento tra i vari strumenti, quindi JTF, CIS, FSC, Fondi di Sviluppo e Coesione, risorse comunali, risorse regionali, che devono andare in un'unica direzione tra soggetti che devono parlarsi e devono comunicare tra loro. E il CIS rappresenta sicuramente uno strumento importantissimo da questo punto di vista. Se solo pensiamo che all'interno del CIS vi sono ben 18 soggetti attuatori, cioè 18 soggetti che dispongono di risorse che provengono da diverse fonti di finanziamento, risorse che devono utilizzare e, come si dice oggi, mettere a terra. Per questa ragione la settimana scorsa ho convocato un tavolo operativo del CIS insieme all'avvocato Parlangeli, che ho visto intervenire prima, che è responsabile tecnico per quanto riguarda il CIS, proprio per far dialogare i 18 soggetti attuatori, per intenderci il comune, la provincia, la regione, il porto, il commissario straordinario per le bonifiche e tanti altri soggetti, in modo tale che i progetti possano arrivare alla fase esecutiva e soprattutto si possano bandire le gare ed eseguire i lavori. Voi pensate, faccio soltanto alcuni esempi per spiegare, per far capire come siano importanti queste risorse e che ricaduta possono avere sul territorio della città e della provincia, in sostanza nell'area di crisi complessa di Taranto, quindi Taranto città, Massafra, Statte, Crispiano e Montemesola. Andiamo dal tema delle bonifiche, quindi del Mar Piccolo, tema che è assolutamente interconnesso con il GTF, alla foresta urbana dell'area nord, anche questa prevista e finanziata all'interno del GTF di cui parlava qualche istante fa l'avvocato Parlangeli. Parliamo della riqualificazione urbana ed infrastrutturale della città. Faccio alcuni esempi: riqualificazione di Piazza Fontana, riqualificazione dello spazio urbano tra il Castello Aragonese e il Palazzo Municipale, la riqualificazione di alcuni palazzi storici. Si parla tanto del Palazzo Archita, 20 milioni sono previsti dal CIS proprio per la riqualificazione del Palazzo Archita. E poi ancora il Palazzo d'Aiala, il Palazzo Troilo, le mura del Castello Aragonese, progetti di housing sociale. Anche qui la transizione giusta passa da interventi di housing sociale nell'ambito del quartiere Tamburi. Pensiamo per esempio alle case parcheggio poste a qualche centinaio di metri dall'ex Silva. Nell'ambito del CIS è prevista appunto la demolizione e la ricostruzione di appartamenti che siano lontani e distanti da quello stabilimento e la forestazione di quella zona. E poi ancora interventi di housing sociale anche nell'ambito della città vecchia. La sanità, e mi avvio a conclusione anche perché so di avere 5 minuti, mi facevano presente, la sanità, per esempio lo stesso ospedale San Cataldo è finanziato con 270 milioni dal CIS, così come la scuola di medicina e chirurgia. Impianti sportivi, un campo sportivo al quartiere Tamburi, quindi anche qui la transizione giusta, le bonifiche che stiamo seguendo col commissario straordinario per le bonifiche, che hanno necessità di una accelerazione, non si può più aspettare. Poi interventi molto importanti nell'ambito del porto. Parliamo di 66 progetti completati, ma in totale i progetti sono 151, quindi siamo circa a metà strada. Tutto questo viene realizzato con il supporto di Invitalia e del Ministero del PNRR e della coesione. Questo è il quadro, diciamo velocemente in qualche minuto, per quanto attiene il CIS. Ripeto, si tratta di uno strumento che è assolutamente interconnesso e collegato al GTF. Per quanto riguarda il GTF è necessario, una volta fatto l'accordo, e l'accordo c'è, quindi dal punto di vista tecnico le risorse sono assolutamente a disposizione, che ci sia una accelerazione da questo punto di vista e che vengano pubblicati quanto prima i bandi per passare dalla teoria alla pratica, perché poi alla fine parliamo spesso di centinaia di milioni a disposizione, ma la cosa più importante per Taranto e per il Mezzogiorno è quella di realizzare i progetti, di pubblicare i bandi di gara, di aggiudicare questi bandi di gara e di utilizzare effettivamente queste risorse con una ricaduta concreta sul territorio. Io vi ringrazio, mi scuso per non essere con voi e auguro a tutti buon lavoro.
Grazie onorevole Iaia, grazie Dario per questa importante connessione che hai in qualche maniera già enucleato, già sviluppato, e che secondo me può essere anche un modo per ragionare sul Just Transition Fund anche in ottica di sostenibilità, lasciando in qualche maniera da parte quelle che possono tutti pensare essere degli ostacoli alla realizzazione legati alla burocrazia, ma che in realtà si deve trasformare in capacità amministrativa. Gli enti di questo territorio sono assolutamente in grado, da un punto di vista proprio della potenza di fuoco, diciamo così, per ingaggiare questa sfida, e sicuramente però avere una collaborazione, una cooperazione già dal design di quella che può essere la strategia di applicazione con i colleghi dell'Estonia è sicuramente a vantaggio di tutti. Per noi è molto importante condividere alla fine di questa giornata, condividere la prima bozza, il primo draft del memorandum di questo protocollo molto molto generico ma estremamente strategico, anche con il CIS, con la vostra diciamo struttura, questo per integrarli anche qui by design, quindi dall'inizio nelle progettualità, ma anche e soprattutto con il placet dell'autorità di gestione che sicuramente verrà coinvolta come organismo diciamo di supervisione, ma sicuramente del quale abbiamo bisogno per proseguire in termini proprio di vaglio funzionale, ecco, nella cooperazione. Quindi credo che Marco tocchi a te adesso in qualche maniera.
Sì, io direi di far intervenire l'ultimo ospite che è connesso da remoto per poi invitare qui i nostri ospiti presenti on site. Quindi ho il piacere di introdurre la dottoressa Serena Trigiani, assessora all'ambiente per la Regione
Mi dicono
Puglia.
che ancora non è pronto.
Non è connessa?
Dalla...
Ok, perfetto. Allora inviterei qui sul palco Hardy Murula, Associazione delle autorità locali della Contea Ida Viru. Please, Hardy, join us here on the stage. Take your seat, please. Il dottor Vito Bruno, direttore generale dell'ARPA Puglia. Grazie. Direi di iniziare dai nostri ospiti estoni. Hardy. It was a pleasure yesterday during the working session. You outlined many interesting points about the implementation of the Just Transition Fund in Estonia. Which are the experiences you want to outline today and some key points, a lesson learned that you want to highlight? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's very honored to be here among with other members of Estonian delegation. First of all, I thank you, Taranto, very warm welcome. Frankly, as a weather, but particularly your very warm and kind hospitality we have so far received. Thank you very much. About the state of play of just transition in Estonia, just little point more, why we are here. We are here because we believe that more and stronger cooperation between different parts of European Union regions needed in order to boost our economic growth and to face common challenges like just transition and green transition and so on. In Estonia, Ida-Viru case, state of play, just transition is, I might say it's promising. We have totally 330 million grant available, and 99% of the available grant is already covered with decisions. 322 projects approved, and the result of those projects, 1,227 jobs will be created. And we hope those will be new jobs with higher value and good salary, and they will be resilient to the climate change and not depend on the greenhouse gases emissions. So it's looking promising. The journey of our just transition hasn't been easy because we faced the challenges according to the COVID pandemic and especially the Russian full-scale aggression war against Ukraine. But despite of those challenges, we are now in quite track, and we are moving ahead. Our just transition focuses on economy. We want to build up resilient, higher value economic besides our oil shale sector, before the oil shale sector will close down totally. And our, I might say, flagship project right now is permanent magnet factory in Narva, which is already, first phase is already finalized. It's owned by the Canadian origin company acting worldwide, Neo Performance Materials, and they are producing permanent magnets, and our own Narva-produced permanent magnet, I might say, made his world debut last week during the G7 summit in Canada, when the President of European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, took the magnet with her and presented it, because it's Narva factory is only factory outside China where the permanent magnets are right now produced. So our focus in economy, but it doesn't mean that issues related to the human resources and the environmental and health is not important for us. We have other pillar of just transition for the social inclusions and environmental issues, and it's very crucial, because it's the old style industry has been has very big impact for the people health and surrounding environmental. So it's also we are facing it. So it's very briefly from our side. So it's we are looking forward to have good cooperation with Toronto and to find common solutions and better understanding how we can implement the just transition and green turn. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Hardi Murula. Ricordiamo che l'attività di cooperazione con la delegazione estone è iniziata ieri, quindi non si esaurisce chiaramente in questo evento. Stiamo, come diceva il dottor Sardone, impostando un memorandum of understanding che vi presenteremo anche più tardi a quattro mani con la delegazione estone, con l'obiettivo di acquisire da loro le esperienze in termini di implementazione del Just Transition Fund, perché come abbiamo ascoltato dal dottor Murula sono più avanti di noi, nel senso che hanno già investito i soldi, avviato delle attività progettuali, specialmente nell'economia circolare, anche attraverso l'utilizzo di magneti e di risorse per le turbine eoliche, e quindi hanno dato vita alla riconversione economica del territorio. Riconversione economica del territorio che è anche l'obiettivo del meccanismo Just Transition Fund, ovviamente di Taranto. L'ARPA da sempre monitora la qualità dell'ambiente sul territorio nazionale. Con l'ARPA Puglia, insieme alla ASL di Taranto e al CNR, stanno lavorando insieme per accelerare il meccanismo di implementazione. Io quindi ho il piacere di lasciare la parola al direttore generale di ARPA Puglia, Vito Bruno, per raccontarci un po' lo stato dell'arte su questo tipo di attività. Grazie.
Buongiorno a tutti, innanzitutto grazie per l'invito, grazie anche per l'opportunità. Tra l'altro in un posto, insomma, Taranto da sempre, diciamo, una città molto bella, quindi da sempre tante prospettive. Noi purtroppo guardiamo anche altre cose, forse meno belle, però pur tuttavia è il nostro compito, e quindi lo dobbiamo fare con la massima attenzione. E lo stato dell'arte sarebbe, insomma, ci vorrebbe più di un intervento per parlare dello stato dell'arte, dell'ambiente in Puglia, in particolare a Taranto. Però io guarderei al bicchiere mezzo pieno, non solo a quello mezzo vuoto, anche perché su quello mezzo vuoto ci guardano già in tanti. E noi abbiamo una regione in questo momento con situazioni con una condizione dal punto di vista ambientale, penso al comparto del mare, se parliamo in termini di comparto, dove evidentemente abbiamo una situazione, insomma, direi di grande vantaggio. E l'abbiamo di grande vantaggio non perché lo dice l'ARPA Puglia, ma perché lo dice il Sistema Nazionale della Protezione dell'Ambiente, un po' l'Istat dell'ambiente, che certifica che per esempio in Puglia la qualità dei nostri mari è prima da 5 anni di seguito. Non è poco, considerato che siamo una regione lunga, siamo una regione con 185 depuratori pubblici, dei quali quasi 150 scaricano e vanno verso il mare, perché siamo anche una regione stretta. Quindi significa aver fatto investimenti sulla depurazione, significa aver fatto investimenti sui controlli, significa aver ridotto gli scarichi abusivi, significa aver messo in campo anche una strategia istituzionale molto forte, perché questo chiaramente non è che lo fa da solo l'ARPA. Intanto partiamo dalla materia prima, che il mare in Puglia è straordinario. Poi ci aggiungiamo la Guardia di Finanza col suo supporto logistico, i rapporti con le capitanerie di porto. Noi abbiamo tutto l'apparato logistico della finanza che lavora con noi sui controlli. Quindi quello che fai in campo sui depuratori, quello che fai a mare, e ovviamente tutto l'anno, quello poi porta alla fine al risultato, insieme all'economia, perché dietro questo poi c'è naturalmente la spinta, alzando l'asticella, anche chi fa impresa, chi lavora sul mare, inizia a comprendere l'importanza di tutelare un capitale che ti offre tanti servizi, il turismo, l'economia blu e tutto quello su cui si sta cercando di investire. Quindi io guarderei ad aspetti favorevoli. La Puglia in questo momento, per esempio sulla qualità dell'aria, non è in condizioni di infrazione comunitaria. Abbiamo un unico caso che ci crea particolari criticità, ma voglio dire è un caso limitato, è in un paesino vicino Brindisi ed è collegato peraltro all'uso dei caminetti o comunque delle biomasse, quindi legato alla combustione delle biomasse e non legato a una situazione strutturale. Poi ci sono situazioni sottospecifiche a Taranto, a Brindisi, quelle non è che le possiamo negare, esistono, vanno gestite, però se guardiamo complessivamente la qualità dell'aria dobbiamo dire ai nostri concittadini pugliesi che in Puglia noi del 1° ottobre continueremo a utilizzare le auto diesel del 2015, mentre nelle 4 regioni del nord, se non arriva un decreto legge durante quest'estate, 1 milione di veicoli se ne tornano in garage, perché in tutte le città con più di 30.000 abitanti, parliamo di Lombardia, Veneto, Emilia Romagna e Piemonte, le macchine resteranno nei garage. Questo sarà uno dei primi effetti, come dire, di misure drastiche che in quelle regioni stiamo adottando, perché quelli sono i miei colleghi con i quali noi ci sentiamo chiaramente. Essendo una rete ci sentiamo settimanalmente e sono tutti in grande difficoltà e quindi mentre le istituzioni regionali pugliesi, pensiamo proprio a quello che è successo a Taranto su ambiente e salute, possono addirittura andare in Europa e chiedere di ridurre i limiti, perché noi vogliamo in particolari condizioni spingere perché le misure di qualità dell'aria che entreranno in vigore nel 2030, saranno operative nel 2030, possano essere in alcuni contesti addirittura anticipate nell'applicazione pratica territoriale al fine di garantire una maggiore tutela della salute in particolari contesti, i miei colleghi sono costretti ad andare in Europa con i loro presidenti a chiedere di tenere alti quei limiti, perché altrimenti rischiano ora il blocco, tra virgolette, delle auto diesel matricolate fino al 2015, quindi non proprio così vecchie, e fra un po' rischiano di chiudere allevamenti, rischiano di bloccare completamente le attività produttive e l'economia di quei territori. Quindi investire da questo punto di vista appunto nella transizione, nell'economia, nello spingere verso questi modelli, perché noi non possiamo cambiare i modelli. Le autorità ambientali non devono fare politica, almeno nella mia visione, devono offrire dati di maggiore qualità possibile e chiaramente alzare il livello delle attività di controllo e spingere dando informazioni a chi prende queste decisioni per scegliere una direzione. Non tocca a noi stabilire qual è la politica industriale. È chiaro ed evidente però che se spingiamo su alcuni fattori, su alcuni driver, è più facile che il sistema si debba adeguare e quindi in qualche modo, come è successo sul mare, possa avvenire su altri comparti. Se invece noi lasciamo andare le cose in questa direzione, quei modelli chiaramente da soli difficilmente cambieranno. Ce lo dice ormai, basta leggere il Sole 24 Ore, il Corriere della Sera, non giornali, come dire, sovversivi, per rendersi conto che il cambiamento climatico e gli effetti che sta producendo sui sistemi economici sono talmente significativi che molti ne parlano poco, ma noi siamo costretti, molte imprese saranno costrette a breve, se non lo stanno già facendo, a pagare delle polizze per gli eventi collegati al cambiamento climatico che nessuno avrebbe mai immaginato di dover pagare. Quindi evidentemente quello è un costo che noi come sistema, Stato, non siamo più in grado di sostenere. Ci sono l'aumento del cambiamento climatico, l'aumento delle temperature e comunque il cambiamento climatico, se continua con questa indicazione, secondo l'ASVIS, fra pochi anni genererà effetti sul comparto industriale gravissimi, perché chiaramente i fenomeni di siccità e l'ASVIS non è un'organizzazione di pericolosi sovversivi, peraltro è guidata dall'ex presidente dell'Istat, non propriamente Che Guevara. Quindi voglio dire, siamo in una situazione in cui dobbiamo prendere atto di quello che è il modello che abbiamo costruito e modificarlo senza approcci puramente ideologici. Ricordiamo tutti che l'amianto era denominato lana di Dio, questo era perché era funzionale a una serie di attività. Poi abbiamo scoperto che fa male, lo dobbiamo eliminare. Non è un problema solo di approccio ideologico, è un problema di consapevolezza che se dobbiamo assumere una cura, perché non possiamo andare più avanti, dobbiamo iniziare a prendere il farmaco. In questo caso il farmaco è cambiare il modello. Siccome però questo modello siamo in grado di cambiarlo, abbiamo dimostrato di essere in grado di cambiarlo, e immaginando che non si sia superato un tipping point, cioè un punto di non ritorno, dobbiamo e anche se fosse così dobbiamo comunque gestirlo, dobbiamo inevitabilmente cambiare il paradigma. In questo senso l'esperienza di Taranto, il modello che si sta mettendo in campo, che vede insieme le università, i centri di ricerca, però vede insieme anche le agenzie sanitarie ed ambientali che hanno poi la responsabilità di assumere alcuni provvedimenti determinanti nella quotidianità delle attività industriali, perché il mondo vive oggi, Taranto vive oggi, non vivrà nel 2030, 2030 cioè andrà avanti, ma intanto vive oggi. Questo consente di tenere insieme, a mio avviso, il doppio binario, cioè la concretezza, cioè dell'intervento nel momento, e l'idea di costruire un percorso che ha bisogno di tempo, perché i temi della complessità ambientale, soprattutto se coniugati con quella industriale, sono temi lunghi, non sono temi che possono avere una visione come dire, a breve termine. Lo short term può valere per noi agenzie ambientali che siamo nell'immediatezza chiamate ad assumere iniziative, ma se vogliamo costruire un percorso diverso occorre che questo sistema istituzionale abbia anche un momento di long term, di visione, perché il processo è lento e, come dico io, non si può fare ambiente solo con il surf, bisogna andare in apnea, e questo determina anche formazione, comparti, cioè attività di continuo aggiornamento, reclutamento, che non è facile, recruiting di professionalità che siano capaci di intervenire, rafforzamento delle istituzioni pubbliche che di questo si devono occupare tutti i giorni, non a livello spot. Io a Taranto ho voluto quasi raddoppiare la forza e ho diciamo, litigato, una parola grossa, però ho discusso anche col Presidente della Regione sulla necessità che questo personale dovesse stare qui a tempo indeterminato, che quindi le assunzioni dovevano essere stabili per lasciare la città, a prescindere dai destini del direttore generale, una struttura raddoppiata nei numeri, perché se è quello il modello verso cui andiamo incontro, bisogna strutturare e dare il tempo anche a queste persone di poter operare avendo anche loro davanti una visione e non un contratto a tempo determinato. Quindi tutto questo nel nostro piccolo, perché noi siamo a livello regionale, i temi chiaramente che qua si discutono sono temi molto più estesi. Noi in Puglia, pur in questa condizione di chiaroscuro, perché l'oscuro c'è, abbiamo però due comparti importanti, ripeto, quello sull'aria ma soprattutto anche quello sul mare, che sicuramente ci stanno dando delle buone, tra virgolette, soddisfazioni. Immaginiamo che si possa lavorare su altro, penso alle rinnovabili, sul quale va fatta una riflessione, su come renderle compatibili con il paesaggio affinché non ci sia solo un problema di speculazione, ma ci sia un problema di reale innovazione, ma nel rispetto del territorio, del paesaggio, e questa è certamente una sfida sulla quale probabilmente va fatta un'opportuna riflessione, ricordando, peraltro, e chiudo, che l'ambiente non solo purtroppo ce l'abbiamo in Costituzione da solo 3 anni, e questo non è banale, perché noi quando costruiamo le città le abbiamo costruite non pensando all'ambiente e non abbiamo avuto nulla che ci costringesse a pensarlo, solo dal 2022 abbiamo qualcosa che ci obbliga a pensarlo. Alla giustizia intergenerazionale, cioè al fatto che adesso qualsiasi provvedimento per legge dovrà obbligatoriamente essere valutato non solo per i riflessi che ha nell'immediatezza, ma quello che avrà nelle prossime generazioni. Il fatto che ci sia un obbligo giuridico cambia molto nella prospettiva di la natura di questi provvedimenti, e il fatto che la salute, che questa connessione fra ambiente e salute, ora avendo, come dire, una parità di grado nell'ambito costituzionale, finisce per costituire un doppio vincolo ad iniziative che possano andare in contrasto con quella che è la direzione che abbiamo preso. Il rapporto della giornata di oggi con questo memorandum, peraltro, dimostra che l'attenzione su Taranto e la capacità di Taranto in questo momento e di chi ci sta lavorando di guardare anche a esperienze in altre realtà è importante, perché non dobbiamo pensare di guardare solo sulla nostra scrivania, come io spesso dico ai miei collaboratori, ma andiamo a guardare oltre, perché oltre ci sono un sacco di opportunità che possiamo cogliere. Grazie.
Grazie al direttore generale. Grazie al direttore generale di ARPA Puglia, il dottor Bruno, per averci fornito uno spaccato positivo dell'attività in corso. Ha toccato diversi temi, tutti molto importanti: la connessione tra salute e ambiente, la qualità dei dati utili al monitoraggio, il modello di innovazione aperta attraverso la collaborazione tra enti, università e attori provenienti dal mondo tecnologico, tutti temi che sono vicini alla Casa delle Tecnologie Emergenti di Taranto, che in qualche modo rappresenta questo modello di Open Innovation guidato dalla direzione scientifica della ASL di Taranto, in particolare il dottor Sardone come responsabile scientifico di Calliope ha insistito negli ultimi 2 anni sul concetto di One Health, salute unica. E quindi, dottor Sardone, ci racconti come ASL state organizzando i prossimi step, l'attività che in qualche modo è stata già svolta in termini di Open Innovation e quali sono le sinergie in corso di sviluppo sia con il CNR che con l'ARPA Puglia. Grazie.
Sì, grazie a te Marco. Diciamo l'evidenza di quello che è stato fatto in questi anni è rappresentabile da questa platea, perché è forse il momento più importante di formazione è quando c'è una transdisciplinarità, una moltitudine di discipline sedute diciamo, allo stesso tavolo. Ci sono medici, ci sono ingegneri, ci sono scienziati ambientali, persone diciamo, di carattere istituzionale, scientifico, a tutti i livelli, insomma, seduti per ascoltare un momento nel quale si racconta la transizione, che in realtà non è qualcosa che avverrà, è qualcosa che sta già avvenendo, come già diceva il direttore generale Vito Bruno. Siamo per fortuna ormai da qualche anno in linea su queste attività. C'è una grandissima voglia di rimanere al pari, anzi direi oltre che salute e ambiente è necessario anche in qualche maniera spingere la parte di ricerca, la parte scientifica, perché di fatto, e i colleghi estone sono la prova di questo, il motore dell'innovazione nasce in maniera naturale negli ambienti di ricerca. La ricerca è fondamentale, non è qualcosa che deve essere visto come la torre d'avorio che in qualche maniera guarda dall'alto in basso quelle che sono poi le politiche, quelle che sono poi le decisioni, ma di fatto chi produce anche le evidenze, i dati, perché noi tutti lavoriamo come dirigenti pubblici, come funzionari, come comparto, come qualsiasi tipo di ruolo, alla produzione di evidenze, di dati che possono servire a chi fa poi le policy. La ricerca in questo deve essere dirimente, cioè deve cambiare il paradigma, per citare il direttore generale dell'ASL Taranto, che è una delle persone diciamo, più sagge, una sorta di saggio del progetto Calliope, e cambiare il paradigma è fondamentale, perché il concetto di Open Innovation è questo, cioè partire da un'esigenza che è un'esigenza specifica di un territorio che ha subito tanto ma che può dare anche tanto, ma aprendo le soluzioni a chiunque. Perché aprendo le soluzioni, quindi aprendo la possibilità di partecipare a chiunque, ti garantisce delle visioni che prima non avresti mai avuto. E questo modello è un modello molto efficace, nato direi anche un po' per caso, un po' in maniera per coagulazione diciamo, nel tessuto di Calliope, ma che sta funzionando. E la riprova è proprio quella che stiamo vivendo in questi giorni, quindi una importantissima collaborazione internazionale tra tante istituzioni, e che di fatto sta anche configurando proprio un setting strategico come dire, concreto, che è quello di J-Trail, del quale magari parlerò più specificatamente dopo, ma che di fatto rappresenta un'associazione, un consorzio, una partnership tra ARPA, ASL e il CNR, ma che sicuramente estenderà anche a tantissimi altri collaboratori, sia nazionali che internazionali, il centro mediterraneo per i cambiamenti climatici, che è una eccellenza del sud Italia, perché è un centro a Lecce che si occupa tantissimo di produzione di dati sia meteorologici, quindi sia a livello atmosferico che oceanografici, quindi a livello marino, ma ne potremmo citare tantissimi altri. Sicuramente le università avranno un ruolo fondamentale, hanno sempre avuto un ruolo fondamentale, diciamo a volte a singhiozzi, però in questo momento è sicuramente il momento migliore, almeno per come la viviamo noi, soprattutto per Taranto, quindi siamo tutti estremamente ottimisti e tutti sulla stessa barca, quindi per noi è diciamo, un momento di forte confronto, di forte introspezione, anche per capire come i colleghi dell'Estonia hanno ragionato prima ancora di aver agito e come hanno disegnato prima ancora di aver semplicemente speso, perché i fondi, dicevamo qualche giorno fa col direttore Bruno, li cito, gli brucio qualche battuta, non è una questione di spendere, ma è una questione di spendere bene, di investire per il territorio e di maniera costruttiva. Quindi in questo dobbiamo essere tutti allineati, perché diciamo, la capacità amministrativa è questo, saper collaborare senza troppe ostruzioni, troppe barriere mentali spesso. Quindi grazie.
Grazie a lei, dottor Sardona, per questo importante messaggio, e adesso introduco l'assessora all'ambiente per la Regione Puglia, la dottoressa Serena Trigiani, che dovremmo avere connesso in call da remoto. Dottoressa, può sentirci?
Buongiorno, voi mi sentite?
Sì,
Perché io vi sento molto male, però spero che voi mi sentiate.
Prego.
Mi sentite?
Sì.
Grazie per questo invito, naturalmente agli organizzatori, a tutto diciamo, il sistema Taranto. Porto il saluto del presidente Emiliano, che non è potuto essere presente, come anch'io, perché purtroppo abbiamo anche altri impegni istituzionali. Ritengo veramente importante questo evento che avete organizzato qui come Green Week. Proprio a Taranto, è proprio il posto giusto dove si può parlare di transizione e che sia una transizione giusta, e naturalmente anche nell'ottica di questa assolutamente contemporaneità dei due territori, Taranto e l'Estonia, due territori altamente sensibili quanto alla transizione ecologica e destinatari del fondo del Just Transition Fund. È molto importante perché come sappiamo per la Puglia affrontare le sfide economiche, in particolare che tutta l'area di Taranto ci ha presentato, sfide sociali ed economiche, sfide di salute, sfide che riguardano l'ambiente, è proprio naturalmente tutto il territorio che deve andare verso una transizione, verso una neutralità climatica, con un'attenzione molto particolare che la Regione, ma in particolare anche l'assessorato all'ambiente, ci ha sempre messo. È chiaro che il fondo offre delle opportunità molto significative per le politiche ambientali della Regione Puglia e quindi in particolare del territorio così diciamo attenzionato e anche martoriato di Taranto, su cui abbiamo sempre dato grande attenzione nel promuovere maggiormente questa transizione verde, ma è uno sviluppo sostenibile all'interno di tutta la provincia di Taranto, anche in linea con le nostre strategie regionali, quindi non solo con i fondi europei, ma anche con le nostre strategie regionali. Non solo la strategia regionale di sviluppo sostenibile, ma anche quella di adattamento ai cambiamenti climatici, che presenta delle linee guida che noi abbiamo già messo in campo, su cui sono interessati tutti i comuni con i loro PAESC, che ci sembrano assai importanti per poi arrivare a traghettare alla definitiva strategia regionale che si rifarà a quella naturalmente nazionale. È chiaro che noi siamo la regione che anni fa, come sempre dice il presidente Emiliano, è stato il simbolo e ha lanciato la decarbonizzazione, perché proprio dovevamo farlo, avendo appunto l'Ilva e tutto diciamo quello che è di contorno alla nostra appunto industria, soprattutto in quella zona. Ed è chiaro che quindi le azioni sulla decarbonizzazione sono sempre state, come dire, il nostro primario obiettivo, inserito anche nel piano energetico ambientale, nel PEAR della Regione Puglia come primo obiettivo, quindi anche per una transizione naturalmente giusta, per creare un'occupazione nuova, una diversificazione economica, contrastare gli effetti appunto gli effetti della impattante crisi climatica, e ridurre arrivare comunque a ridurre la dipendenza dalle fonti fossili. Noi come assessorato all'ambiente sul fondo Just Transition Fund gestiamo direttamente come Dipartimento Ambiente alcune azioni importantissime, quindi siamo per esempio gestiamo e siamo direttamente responsabili degli interventi di Green Belt che prevedono delle infrastrutture verdi per la città di Taranto per valorizzare anche il patrimonio naturalistico. Non dimentichiamo la natura, la restituzione della natura che dobbiamo dare anche come forma di mitigazione rispetto all'azione dei cambiamenti climatici e della crisi climatica, ce la impone anche l'Europa con la Restoration Law. E quindi tutte queste azioni che sul Just Transition Fund noi come Dipartimento Ambiente in particolare siamo responsabili, sono assolutamente importanti. Alcune prevedono come beneficiari il Comune di Taranto e quindi grande sinergia con il Comune di Taranto, altre come per esempio quelle che riguardano il mare, la riqualificazione ambientale del sistema delle coste del Mar Grande e del Mar Piccolo con delle azioni di recupero e miglioramento di infrastrutture esistenti, le gestiamo con anche soggetto beneficiario sempre Comune di Taranto, e le filiere verdi anche con la preziosissima collaborazione di soggetto attuatore del commissario straordinario per gli interventi urgenti di bonifica Uricchio, che sicuramente sarà lì, che salutiamo. Abbiamo anche delle azioni di riqualificazione e ripristino ambientale del sistema delle coste appunto del Mar Grande e del Mar Piccolo e delle aree limitrofe, tutte azioni su cui appunto il Dipartimento Ambiente è assolutamente responsabile. È chiaro che noi vi ringraziamo per questa iniziativa, gli obiettivi comuni che riguardano la strategia regionale di adattamento ai cambiamenti climatici della regione con il Just Transition Fund e la filiera importantissima di tutte le collaborazioni del territorio, di tutte le istituzioni e le autorità che devono procedere verso una transizione giusta è diciamo l'obiettivo primario. È chiaro che gli obiettivi sono comuni, cioè sia i meccanismi delle strategie di adattamento ai cambiamenti climatici, sia il Just Transition Fund hanno obiettivi comuni perché devono affrontare le sfide dei cambiamenti climatici. Quindi noi miriamo a rendere i territori sempre più resilienti ai cambiamenti climatici, migliorando le conoscenze, sviluppando delle politiche di sostegno a tutti i livelli e accelerando appunto l'adattamento con il sostegno mirato ai territori più colpiti dalla transizione, come la provincia di Taranto. Chiaramente questo obiettivo si rende più forte. Quindi nella pianificazione che abbiamo come regione ringraziamo tutti gli attori anche istituzionali che collaborano verso questo importantissimo obiettivo, quindi raggiungere veramente una transizione che sia giusta in ogni senso, in particolare ambientale ma anche di salute, climatica e socio-economica, e vi ringraziamo per queste iniziative perché sono, insieme appunto anche a questi altri partner di altre parti del mondo, sono delle iniziative che ci fanno capire come tutti gli esperti ci portano verso l'obiettivo che dobbiamo raggiungere anche come politica. Grazie.
Grazie all'assessora Trigiani per la Regione Puglia, e noi ci avviamo alla conclusione di questa prima sessione con un messaggio direttamente dal vicepresidente del Parlamento europeo Pina Picerno. un videomessaggio, possiamo mandarlo.
Buongiorno
Grazie.
a tutti e a tutti, ringrazio davvero molto gli organizzatori, tutti i relatori prestigiosi, un saluto particolare al Presidente della Regione Michele Emiliano, al Commissario Raffaele Fitto e al neo sindaco di Taranto Piero Bitetti e aggiungo a lui auguri di buon lavoro. Grazie davvero agli organizzatori per questo importante momento di confronto sul tema della transizione giusta che si svolge in una città dove parlare di questi temi significa anche confrontarsi con una realtà concreta che è una realtà viva e non retorica. Mi dispiace anche per questo molto non poter essere presente fisicamente con voi, ma desidero comunque farvi arrivare un saluto a nome del Parlamento europeo insieme a qualche riflessione che spero possa accompagnare i vostri lavori. Taranto non è soltanto una meravigliosa città, è anche un simbolo della complessità della transizione ecologica. A Taranto si intrecciano in modo evidente e urgente temi giganteschi, dalla salute pubblica, la giustizia ambientale, l'innovazione, la coesione sociale, e il fatto che la Commissione europea abbia riconosciuto questo evento come tappa ufficiale della EU Green Week 2025 è un segnale importante, perché la transizione verde non può essere pensata così in astratto, ma va costruita a partire proprio dai territori, perché è lì che le politiche europee trovano conferma o smentita della loro efficacia. E il confronto di oggi tra Taranto e anche la contea di Daviru in Estonia va esattamente in questa direzione. Due territori che condividono un passato industriale legato alle fonti fossili e che oggi, grazie anche al Just Transition Fund, stanno tracciando percorsi nuovi che sono più sostenibili e anche più inclusivi. Sappiamo che non si tratta di un percorso facile, perché tenere insieme ambizione e pragmatismo, strategia e capacità amministrativa richiede lucidità, determinazione e tanta attenzione, ma è esattamente questa la sfida che noi abbiamo davanti. Negli ultimi mesi il dibattito pubblico sulla transizione e più in generale sull'attuazione degli strumenti europei, dal Green Deal al PNRR, è stato spesso condizionato da polemiche, diciamo anche da letture molto semplificatorie. E in contesti come questo noi invece dobbiamo e possiamo tornare a concentrarci invece al contrario sui dati reali, sulle esperienze che contano davvero. L'Unione Europea ha messo in campo strumenti concreti e risorse straordinarie per sostenere il cambiamento. Non si tratta, voi lo sapete bene, di misure astratte, ma di azioni pensate proprio per ridurre i divari, per accelerare la decarbonizzazione, per rafforzare le competenze e anche migliorare la qualità della vita delle persone. E iniziative come quella sul fronte del One Health, per esempio promossa proprio a Taranto, dimostrano quanto sia strategico tenere insieme salute delle persone, salute ambientale, salute sociale, integrando le diverse dimensioni nella transizione in un'unica grande visione. Sappiamo che esistono degli ostacoli, soprattutto in territori che storicamente hanno dovuto fare i conti con carenze amministrative e infrastrutturali, ma oggi noi disponiamo di strumenti, ma anche di conoscenze che servono proprio a colmare queste distanze. La differenza tra la volontà di metterli in campo con urgenza e continuità è quello che ci aiuterà appunto a fare di questi ragionamenti un progetto concreto, e per questo esperienze come quella del consorzio G-Trail vanno sostenute, perché dimostrano concretamente come si possa anche rafforzare, no, la resilienza dei territori investendo in competenze, in innovazione e anche in prevenzione. La transizione giusta non può essere imposta, va costruita con il coinvolgimento delle comunità, ascoltando chi vive e lavora nei diversi territori. E non può essere soltanto una transizione ambientale, deve anche essere sociale, economica, culturale. Il Parlamento europeo continuerà a sostenere questi percorsi, perché senza giustizia territoriale la transizione non sarà né efficace ma nemmeno duratura. E perché ogni trasformazione ha bisogno del protagonismo di chi la vive ogni giorno. E chi è che la vive ogni giorno? Sono le cittadine e i cittadini, le imprese, gli enti locali, il mondo della ricerca. E allora, con questa consapevolezza di mettere ciascuno di voi al centro delle nostre riflessioni, della nostra scommessa per il futuro, io vi auguro buon lavoro, con la consapevolezza che il dialogo che ci sarà tra poco potrà arricchire non soltanto i vostri territori, ma soprattutto le scelte che noi saremo chiamati a compiere, soprattutto da qua, da Bruxelles. Grazie a tutti e a tutti voi, a presto davvero.
Grazie anche alla vicepresidente del Parlamento europeo Pina Picerno. Io ringrazio tutti i nostri ospiti che hanno partecipato a questa sessione di apertura, il direttore generale dell'ARPA Puglia Vito Bruno, il dottor Ardi Murula dell'Associazione delle Autorità Locali della Contea di Daviru, l'onorevole Dario Iaia, il dottor Raffaele Parlangeri e l'assessora Serena Trigiani. Rodolfo, rimani con me. Let's switch again in English. We are moving on the next session. Now we start talking about scientific contents, or at least yesterday we had the possibility to go more in depth about the scientific of environmental health and health disequalities. So we have the pleasure to introduce for the keynote speech the Professor Hans Horru, Professor of Environmental Health, University of Tartu. Thank you, Hans.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, you can say whatever. Okay.
Okay, we upload your presentation.
Good morning, everybody. I will be a bit closer to you because I have this pointer and then I can see you better, not behind the barrier. So I'm also coming from Estonia, from Tartu. So I've been doing studies on this kind of industrial areas already more than 10 years. And every time we make a new study, we find something new. So in a way, we know a lot, but there are still many things we don't know. And I try to make this kind of framework why we should study that and why we should focus on health. And maybe it's not only health and environment, maybe it's even more like a well-being. And as Vice President mentioned, it's also cultural environment, social environment. So it's a lot of different things that are related to those areas. It has been also discussed a lot about jobs, because this is something really important for us. If you don't have a job, can you imagine what you are doing? Sitting home, everything is nice, going to the beach, but one moment you start, okay, to have a salary, what should I do? And this stress is increasing. So what we want to have a nice job. This is something we are dreaming, something nice to do. And this just transition. So in a way, one point is going to the low carbon environment. So in a way, because that's important for the climate change, but also sustainable. So in a way, because we have a lack of resources, okay. Resources are limited, okay? We have a lot of oil still, but in a way, maybe in 20 years, 30 years, it's not sufficient. So in a way, you have to be sustainable. We have to be fair, include everybody in the processes, and also think about the poorest, the weakest, and etc. The main focus of just transition has been on economics. But this economics is affecting different environment. It is affecting nature environment, it is affecting social environment, it is affecting cultural environment, and all this is having effect on health, equity, social justice. The concept of industrial contaminant sites was much more emphasized when we had one cost action. This is a network of scientists in Europe. This network was led by the Italian National Institute for Health. And those areas have been mapped in Europe, and it's a lot of them. It's tens of thousands of areas in different parts of Europe. Some of them are large, some of them are much smaller, that are contaminated. So there we have air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, bad environment in general. And of course, those areas having impact on our health. The first idea, what you usually are thinking, it's about air pollution, respiratory effects. Sometimes also we are thinking about cancer, but it's nowadays so well known, it's also impacting cardiovascular health. So if we go in Estonia, we have Ida-Viru, like that's one of the states where we have just transition. So by far, we have the highest cardiovascular mortality and morbidity, much more than anyone else in Estonia. We have neurological effects, so Alzheimer and those kind of diseases, they have become much more common. Reproductive effects, because that's a thing, one moment very important to us, like how large are babies when they are born? Okay, if they are too large, it might be a problem, but it's much worse if they are really small ones. And the development of children before the birth is already affected if we are exposed to different pollutants. What we also kind of perceive is if something coming out from the industries, like it has been very dusty here, you know, the aluminium and different minerals you have, like Taranto used to be red. Luckily now this is covered, very easy solution. But, you know, scientists really have to pressure, like voluntarily those things are not happening. Politicians have to pressure the industry close this area so the dust wouldn't come to the city and people are not inhaling that. Much less known about mental health impacts. So because mental health concerns are something that are increasing. Okay, sometimes you are stressed, but actually if you are burnout, if you are really stressed, this is having effect. Again, all those others, it's also having effect on cardiovascular health, on neurodegenerative diseases, and etc. Usually what we are studying this kind of direct toxicity effects. So we have industry, then some air pollution coming, something goes to the drinking water, and then people get to the hospital, they might die prematurely. Much less is discussed about the effect on industry, about social deprivation. So a lot of problems that are here, that are in Ida-Viru, is because the industry has been built there. Okay, if you compare some nice big cities, you don't have a pollution, you don't have a poor housing, you don't have like a poor environment, and all this is what does it do? Like health prevention and those kind of things, nutrition, all how happy you are in a city. Like it was a discussion about green belt building around Taranto. So how green is the city? Because if it's greener, people can do more sports, for instance, they go outside, they are much more happy. And you know, this is affecting a lot our health. But it's also risk perception. If you see this red dust or something coming out from a stack, you start thinking, is it really good for my health? Of course, if people really depend on their jobs, they are denying, okay, I still have to go there because I want to get some money to buy food, just to go for wherever I want, traveling, etc. Okay, and then they're kind of not seeing that, but one more still think, and this stress again is bad for our health. But how about just now, I think everybody knows that there was an accident in the factory, and not so many people can work there. And again, this transition is also kind of what will happen, like not tomorrow, but in 5 years, even 2 years. Okay, what kind of transition it is? Will I use a job? Will I find another job to have something to do? And this is kind of situation, we don't know what is happening. And we have this kind of anxiety that I'm a bit worried. And this long worry can also cause long-term stress. within my studies, I've concluded into this kind of framework that all these inequalities already start before the birth. Because we have, if like mothers are more exposed to different pollutants, we have inflammatory processes going on in the body, and then that means the fetus doesn't get that much nutrition. And then the baby will be smaller, and if they are smaller, though, they are a bit unequal situation. So they develop more respiratory disease, for instance, like children asthma. So later, you also about education. So what kind of possibilities you have for education? If it's less developed area, you have less possibilities. And then you get different kind of job. Like one moment you're working like in a heavy industry, where you're an educated job. And if we look further, like people who are doing other kind of like white-collar jobs, they live longer, and especially they have a better health if they are a bit older. How to make changes? Like one option is this just transition. To, in a way, to turn this circle back and perhaps having already better health measures of the children and newborns. What we have also done in our studies, so just an example of PhD thesis of a student that defended last year. So I also can do qualitative studies, like we can interview people and then we can quantify. But again, what came out, what we didn't really know, that in different loop analysis, like this is something quite new also from a methodological perspective. So we have also quite a lot of impacts on our mental health. We have also insecurity. And it's not only elderly people, but also young people. They are worried what will happen in the future. Because they really depend nowadays on the decision of the health. Another thing we just recently have putting together is framework within different environments. What will happen with a just transition, possibly, in health? So first, if we think about nature environment, so there are some good things and there are some bad things. Okay, good things are that the kind of well-known air pollutants, for instance, will be reduced. Also, most probably the environmental kind of quality gets better. We will get more greenery. Regarding noise pollution, it's so-so because less attention is paid on that. What we don't really know, because if we have new technologies, like we have also different metals going to the wind turbines, so we might have new pollutants. So if we make some changes, we already should think about this. But if we look about other environments, much more is going on there. So the changes in the socioeconomic environment, so the labor market should become more active. Because if we get new companies, they have to find new people, so there are more activities going on. Regarding social securities, so some things get better because we put more money into social securities, but also demand is increasing. So, and there is probably kind of a higher probability to find a new job. What is bad thing might happen? So we have this kind of perceived insecurity. Okay, there are new jobs, but I'm not sure if I will get that. Because I'm older, I have less skills, and they are sometimes very specific. I'm an engineer on something specific, as my colleagues have done in Estonia. Like if you have very specific skills, even you're an engineer, it can also be quite difficult to find a job. What we also know that we have aging populations. Though the number of elderly is increasing and people also recently kind of retired is increasing. And this also might kind of cause kind of inequality change, because with this we will get some very highly paid jobs, but again some other jobs might stay quite less paid. In occupational environment, in a way, if people used to work in harsh conditions, now they are mostly sitting. And sitting is neither good for our health. So in a way, we have to think about how people keep active doing sports and etc. And if you look about health effects, so what will happen in short term, the mental health affected. Okay, if you already have a kind of insecurities, this is happening in just a few weeks or months. And in long term, this is affecting cardiovascular health and other non-communicable diseases. And also some attention we could pay on a healthcare system, because what is often happening, so there is a big shift from the public healthcare to the private healthcare, especially in those areas because there is less resources. And then some companies come, but you know, we can provide you any kind of services, just pay. But if you look how much that costs, public healthcare is always 2-3 times cheaper. And just government has to pay that. What they should do, they should more invest to the public healthcare. And if we have more kind of different diseases, the pattern of those demand definitely will change. So what we are really lacking in Estonia is kind of experts in mental health care. So in a way, who could people say that, okay, what you have to do, and maybe it's not that bad. So it doesn't have to be psychologists, it can be also kind of mental health nurses and those kind of specialists. And we try to put more attention into that. What we just recently have done, there are 92 just transition areas in European Union, and then we tried to kind of map the inequalities between them. And here we have a really kind of easy health measure is life expectancy. Okay, you more or less know how long people are living. Like in Italy, it's more than 8 years. 83, 84. And what we did, we tried to kind of see what's the life expectancy in just transition area and what's the life expectancy as a national average. And what's the kind of gap between those. Because if you live less than Italy in general, you think it's not nice to live less. And this is a picture of males and females. And if we look about males, there are just 2 red spots when the difference is more than 3 years. One is Ida-Viru, and the other one should be Belgium. Like some areas in there. Like if you look about Puglia, because Taranto is kind of part of that, but just transition area is Puglia. So in general, Puglia is doing a bit better, and then the difference is not that big. If you look about women, then we have a region in Lithuania where we have a kind of this gap is more than 3 years, and that's also in Romania. No, yeah. I'm not, and if you look about again Puglia, though the difference not that bad. In a way, everything looks nice, but where Puglia is really coming out is a difference in income. So if we look about income differences, though that's a percentage from the national average. So here it's less than 70% of the national average. Of course, the statistics of income in Italy, as everywhere, is not that good. In Estonia, it's quite good because we have a system that your taxes is already taken before you get the money. But in many countries, you have to claim that afterwards, and who wants to pay taxes? So, but we cannot say that Puglia is something different. than in other places of Italy. So that means this gap is really existing here. But how to get better salaries, having better jobs? Then this concept has been like health is not something independent. Actually, it should be in each policies. And another very interesting thing, we had a couple of workshops in Estonia, and then we tried to have this 3 bold steps vision, where to get there. And when we made this workshop with health experts, so their vision is that health in Ida-Viru County should be like everywhere else, as at least average in Estonia. When we had this vision building with any kind of experts, not only health experts, so they came out with a very nice vision. Ida-Viru County should become beautiful. And you know, the aim was, Lauri, you were also there, yeah. And I was quite surprised, and then afterwards I was thinking, like, maybe it is, like, if you live in a nice place, you kind of start thinking about much more about your health and what you are eating. And if you are in a depressed area, you don't really think about, okay, what's important, and okay, you just try to survive. But if you have set a level of, you know, the well-being, you start thinking about many other aspects. Okay, we talk about life expectancy, but even more important indicator is healthy life years. Okay, living long with disease, yeah, maybe it's not a good thing, but being healthy, being sporty, being happy. And here in Italy, you are doing well. Of course, you have sun and nice weather, and in Northern Europe, we don't have that much sun, and especially we have a lot of respiratory diseases and so on. But going back to this gap what we had. So, for instance, in Estonia, like the gap between in life expectancy, if we take capital area and Ida-Viru, it's 3 years. But if we take healthy life years, then it's 9 years. So it means that in those areas, people get much earlier diseases. And, but that data we have much less. So that's the way we want to live, that even we are in 70s, we can keep running and so on. And then we have these aging populations. So in a way, that's a picture from US. So if we take population 55 plus, so it used to be just 12% in 1994. Nowadays in US it's 25%. But in Europe it might be even worse. What to do? We can keep people active in labor market. And in Estonia we are the best. Because if we take the percentage of people, 65 plus working, like among males, we are 3rd in Europe, but if we take females, we are best in Europe, and if we take average of those, we are again best in Europe. So we have kept in Estonia people working. Why? We have low pensions, and we have very good tax system that your salary is not reduced very much if you are working. So sometimes giving less money as a kind of pension is good. So, but the pension is not that low, because it's mostly low because we have only kind of state pension, and we have not been collecting that much money ourselves, our companies have not. But state pension is quite comparable to other countries. And then I also checked some other world leaders, like Japan, that's, they have around 30.6%, and if we take Estonian average, it's a bit more even. So we keep Estonians even better working than they are doing in Japan and Korea, if we take elderly people. Of course, for that we need different kind of jobs. So they are not working in steel factory, but elderly people can work in offices and so on. But of course, then we shouldn't think that elderly people are working and young people are workless. That's another sign of the coin. In Estonia, with this Just Transition Fund, we have set up also this kind of science consortium between 2 universities and 22 research projects. And this is a good example of the science-based solutions, because it's not that politicians should decide, but scientists can say what are the best ways to do the things. Of course, sometimes we are talking too complicated, and we tell that, okay, it takes ages to conclude something. But maybe there must be just more cooperation, not only reports, but also just having kind of discussions. And of course, scientists can also guide you there, not only giving scientific articles. And most importantly, they also included social science and health science into that. So the first topic is governance, health studies, social studies about jobs and so on. Then we also looked more deep into these health systems. So we have had 12 interviews among expert physicians, residents, etc. So what we certainly see, there is aging population, though the situation is especially critical in the primary health care. So in a way, that's a kind of first step where you go to see the physician. The treatment methods, guidelines, often in those areas are outdated. Though in Estonia we have a situation that in the county 80% of people are non-Estonians, and in some areas even higher percent. Of course the patients and physicians, they are talking in Russian, not in Estonian. And often the kind of government, they don't really see interest to invest those areas, because they are investing some capital areas. So in here you have also discussed, okay, here could be more tourist, different kind of jobs, but here is no airport, here is no road, just a couple of trains coming here per day. So what we have to do, we have to kind of make it things more accessible. And finally, just coming to the conclusion, what we don't really think about is the key is public health. If you think about healthcare cost, 99% goes treatment. So the more complicated treatment, the more kind of profitable it is for the hospital. Having a surgery, you kind of get thousands of euros, but if you have a visit and then you kind of guide how to kind of eat better, do sports, you get maybe 50 euros or 100 euros. So this is not profitable for the kind of healthcare system. But actually it would be very profitable for the people, because we don't, the main aim is people should stay healthy, not they will get some disease. In general, the health effects of those areas is well known. Okay, we can go more deep and find new outcomes and so on. Much less is based on mental health, but this is also a reference. And it's not only this kind of toxic pollutants, it's really complex mixture of different environmental factors, social factors, demographic factors, and also economic factors. The situation in healthcare system is critical like everywhere, but especially critical in those areas. So because young people often don't want, after they have got a nice education, they don't want to come to those areas. And it's quite a kind of $1 million question how to get young people coming to the especially highly educated. If you think about just transition, in short term, there might be more mental health concerns. In long term, we think things will get better. And what to do? So we should invest more making environment better, so it's more pleasurable for the people, I would say. Also have a picture where Estonia is situated. So here we have Estonia, we have good neighbors, Finland, Sweden, other Baltic states. We have a challenging neighbor, Russia here, and this is Ida-Viru, here we have Ida. And it's just a kind of, we have Ida-Viru is next to Russia, and currently more or less dead end of the European Union, though. That's another challenge we're having there. Thank you.
Thank you, Hans, for sharing these important outcomes, especially regarding the mental health and other social inequalities and the correlation with environmental health. So we take one more step, and now we are moving to a roundtable local vision for the implementation of JTF. We aim at understanding in a better way how the Ida-Viru County leverage the Just Transition Fund mechanisms. I have the pleasure to introduce Valeria Ancona, a researcher for National Research Council, Institute for Construction Technologies, that is going to moderate this session. So Valeria, thank you very much for being here with us today, and I let you to introduce your guests. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to everybody to this session, to this round table between Estonian and Italian representatives, focusing on the operational comparison of territorial models for JTF implementation. It is a great pleasure to invite on this stage Hardy Murola, Association of Local Authorities of Ida-Viru County, Lauri Jalonen, Ida-Viru County Business Consultation Center, Rodolfo Sardona, Scientific Director of Emerging Technology Center Calliope, Local Health Authority of Taranto, and Ruggera Sarcina, National Director, Italian Chamber of Commerce in Canada, and finally Bogdana Androsiuk, Research Fellow in Sociology of Transition from University of Tartu. Okay, it is a very pleasure have you in this session to share local vision for JTF implementation. I'd like to start to invite Hardy to represent a framework of governance of JTF action implemented by Ida-Viru County.
Good afternoon once again. Good morning once again. I have a short presentation also. Is it available to show? To just have a more characteristic about our view, but I can also just have a quick overview of that. We started our preparation of our Just Transition in the beginning of 2020. If you are looking back in the beginning of 2020, it was the dream where you live, because there is no COVID pandemic started yet. There is no full-scale war in Europe. The supply chains are working very nicely. No that kind of tensions globally at all. So if it's go back to the beginning of 2020, it would be very nice. But we didn't, and Hans already represented where we are. We are situated in the north part of Europe, and Ida-Viru is emitting more than 60% of Estonian total greenhouse gases. That's why we are the only Just Transition region. And we have big challenges facing us according to the economic structure and especially population, because we have been lost 1/3 of the population since in past 30 years. And if we are believe prognosis, the next 20 years we will be lost more 20%, so it will be 50% less population in 50 years. It's very, very, very bad condition, and our economy highly depends on the oil shale sector, and unemployment rate is usually more higher than Estonian average. And also we have serious problem with relative poverty. And also we always have to remind that our inhabitants mostly are speaking Russian language as their mother tongue. So less than 20% of population are native Estonians. And our approach to the just transition was that we have been facing very that kind of rough transition before. First of all was after the Soviet occupation ended. It was big mess after that. And also we have serious struggling to fulfill all the requirements, especially the environment requirements to entering European Union. It was also the big changes for us. And we decided that this time, if we have possibilities to plan the transition, we need to avoid the system collapsing. So it is the most biggest challenge for us. So we decided that we have to build up a new economical sector or the economical ecosystem besides oil shale sector, before oil shale sector disappears. So that was the idea, and we made some research and even public questionnaires that what is the most people expected from the just transition, and it realized that they are waiting for new jobs with good salary and so on. That's we decided that we should focus on the attracting investors, because we believe that the transition from the oil shale industry to is more likely to another industrial sector. It's sometimes nice to have that kind of dream come true, that one former miner started a new career as an animator and founded a film studio. It's nice, but it's very rare. Mostly it's the more likely transition will be from industry to industry. That's we decided to put the focus and most of the funds to attract businesses and investors to create new jobs and new businesses. But it doesn't mean that socio-economical issues are not relevant to us. It's also that we have like two pillars of the intervention, economic and labor. So it should be give us fast relief to create new jobs and possibilities to reskilling, upskilling for the workforces, and also to have some research development activities in order to build up the more science-based industry. But also the environmental social inclusion is very important for us, and we do have environmental issues to solve. Believe me, I myself, I born and raised next to the oil shale factory, and I exactly know what the environmental impact has, so it's definitely. But we decided to divide that 80% of the available grants will go to the economy and labor, and 20% to the environmental and social inclusion. And maybe I just wanted to point it out that in the social inclusion measures, we also designed special measure for the local communities. which is a small amount from the whole amount of the Just Transition Fund, but it gives local communities possibilities to be part of the Just Transition, to identify the project activities, what they want to carry out, and to apply for funding. And it first from the state level and even the local level said, oh, it's not going to work out. We don't have so active communities, but actually it's working very nicely. And it's not the main issue of the Just Transition, but it gives like a wider inclusion for the Just Transition activities. And as I told you already, that the current situation is not saying good, but promising. It is promising, still lots of way to go, because as you can see from the graphics that only 10% of the funds is paid out. So the projects are still ongoing phases. And I have to say that we are very transparent. You can see the accurate data, how we are going from our website. It's unfortunately in Estonian, but you can translate it by AI, no problem, and to find out how we are going. And yes, we do have that kind of flagship investment of permanent magnets, as I told, that we are very proud of that, but we hope that it's not the end of the new era of Ida-Viru, but producing of permanent magnets in Narva gives us huge possibilities to expand the value chain of the magnets to the automotive motors or wind turbines and so on, and it's very good. It's like an anchor of new economy in our county, and we hope that it will be more. And besides of that, we also found that from the Just Transition, for example, plastic waste treatment plant, also the oil shale ash plant where they produce very pure calcium carbonate out of oil shale ash, and we have lots of oil shale ash left for waiting for reuse. And also we have in Narva very good water treatment system factory who are producing water filters and other treatment systems to purify and clean water. So it's basically very sharply our approach and that we have achieved so far.
Thank you, Ardi, for your interesting highlighting the Ida-Viru experience. Now I want to move to Lauri. I want to ask you to provide an overview of the industrial engagement rule for JTF action for Ida-Viru County.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm very glad to be here and very honored, really. First of all, maybe I add something to Hardi's talk about this community measure, because it's a kind of illustrations that what kind of hiccups can be during the implementation process. As Hardi said, this measure is actually providing relatively small supports for the local communities, local NGOs. I'm in the evaluator in this measure, and we have about 20 applications per month, which people from the local villages, towns, cities, local communities actually provide for their activities. And but we have had actually some criticism about this measure, and for example, as I understand, one particular project they even made press in Brussels. We financed Viking axe throwing facility, small one, not expensive one. It's about some tens of thousands euros to build some facility. And this got very sarcastic, this notes that what the Estonians are crazy, what they are financing for the just transition money, people throwing axes. But you know, you have to know the backstory, that the community which actually asked for this money, they have lived for decades on the very heart of this oil shale mining areas and had very, very strong impacts from this oil shale minings. All the transportation routes goes through their living spaces because mines was underground. Then the water actually from the wells was disappearing, and the environmental impact was very hard. And this axe throwing activities, this was one thing which actually kept this community together, and they really are very proud of this. They're hosting even international competitions in this sport, so that it was very important. So it means that some things can probably look like very strange, but before the judging, you have to see what is behind the curtain, maybe. Other idea which I wanted to share, Hardy told about this industrial jobs. We have actually mainly focused to create, and of course this is, let's say, the easiest way to find occupation for the people who get laid off from oil shale sector. But as well, I think it is important to have in mind that we have to provide something for the younger generation as well. Of course, the industry job is very good if it is very modern, technological, but anyway, not all people want to work in the industry. So we have established another project which is focusing more on creative sector. And we have established a hub for audiovisual innovation and movie industry. And one part of this is a quite classical startup accelerator, which we're doing with a partner from Tallinn Technical University. And other part of this project is actually building probably the biggest and most capable studio complex for the movie industry. And besides this, we actually have started an incubation program for the people or entrepreneurs who want to be on the back service of movie industries. If you know that, if you have some kind of production, audiovisual big production, there is a huge demand for very different services. They need carpenters, they need electricians, they need catering, they need photographers, you name it. They need hairdressers, sewing costumes, what else, you just name it. And this is a place where actually we can create another opportunity for people who have actually get out from this oil shale system to be made.
Consortium for GTF implementation in Taranto.
Yeah, we were just, I don't know if I should talk in English or Italian, Marco. Which are the rules, or I could make a mix. It's okay. No, or just taking time because obviously I didn't uploaded my slides. So now Feliciana is now working on this. But basically, it's very clear that I'm here to represent several partners that are joining this J-Trail consortium. It's very, let's say, hard to say, but it's a sort of concretization of our purposes that we had when we for the first time, we landed in Taranto, because I'm still living in Taranto, but basically I'm here from 2 years because I've spent all my life outside, abroad, and in other part of Italy, particularly in Puglia. And we did several things, but when we start this adventure with Calliope, we were a bunch of researchers. We're still a bunch of researchers and other guys that were involved in this project. But the idea of transition was related to the creation of new opportunities in terms also of changing the mindset of the people that were surrounding us. Just explaining that research is not something that you should do in the labs, but you can do also on the chair, on a desk, in an office, or in front of a patient, or in every kind of task that needs a methodological approach. Therefore, I don't know if Feliciana is, yeah, okay, perfect. For example, one of the example of transition is Feliciana, the Catino, that she's an employee of the municipality of Taranto that started working with us as, let's say, for the administrative part. She has a Master of Science in Computer Science. Then she basically changed her mindset and started to study, to doing research on big data analysis, particularly for the climate predictors for human health, for population health, and is now doing a PhD in artificial intelligence applied in healthcare. There are several type of transition that we try to let's say start in Taranto, but we think, and we discussed it a lot with the Estonian colleagues and also with the Ruggera that is near me, that is the director. She's the director of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Canada. We started several collaborations, several, let's say, new deal in terms of how to make this transition. But the idea is always to put on the table the same let's say ingredients that we brought from our experiences, from our background. So it's very important for us to build up this new area, this new consortium, aiming to new. Therefore, you can see that J-Trail is let's say the concrete project that we are trying to make for the one of the most important, at least for our point of view, action of the Just Transition Fund in Italy and in Taranto territory. Raffaele Parlangeri explained about the fact that we have several action in the JTF in Taranto, and one of those action is the 2.4, that is the collaborative research. That is very important term that is basically equal to open innovation, because collaborative research is something like to make research directly with the stakeholders, with the people that needs for innovation, and also with the companies that could develop, for example, innovation, or could develop products to fulfill those needs. So J-Trail is just built up around this kind of ideas, and the idea is to create this open innovation hub to make applied research. That means that we are gathering the National Research Council, that is, let's say, the leading institution, totally public institution, that have several branches of research, starting from the mechanistic, from the basic research to the healthcare, to the applied research or physics or other like aerospace. So every kind of research you can imagine they are doing. It's very important to have this, particularly for the Department of Biodiversity, because they have very long expertise in biodiversity protection and measuring. They are creating several indices of biodiversity, and they are very involved also in the application of those indices to predict the trajectory of population health. The idea is also to involve local stakeholders, because we are not dealing just with researchers, but also with people that are implementing and deploying policies, such as the regional Agency for the Environmental Protection, represented by Director General Vito Bruno, and also the local health care authority of Taranto, that represented by me, it's an understatement, but because the real representation is from the General Director, Gregorio Colacicco. Basically, the idea is to put on the table all those ingredients to have a very good recipe, just to take some quotes from Piero Leo. It's a friend of us that is working with us in a Canadian collaboration, and to build up the J-Trail. The idea is to create those three pillars that will be developed with several work packages, but let's say the big picture is to have one center for the biodiversity protection that is particularly oriented to the creation of new biodiversity indices, and just measure how those indices could could interact with the human health and with a translational approach. The idea is also to apply those research to the private companies that are now developing, for example, sensors, monitoring sensors, or, for example, environmental DNA sequencing. We have several applications, several startups that are working on this kind of topics, particularly for the development of radon sensor. We have developed during Calliope experience with the Bifrist startup a sensor that is able to monitor in real time the radon gas, and has been qualified directly by the regional, the governmental, let's say, agency that is in charge to qualify that sensor. So it's a sort of, let's say, circular science approach that could have very good effects in terms of generating high quality idea, not just, junk ideas that could be used in the consumer market, but also in the professional market. The other idea is to build up something that is already ongoing in the Urban Health Center of Taranto, that is the creation of a Just Health research hub that could combine, let's say, clinical research with population health research and apply to create new solutions, for example, to tackle the health inequalities using, for example, the profiling of social frailty or physical frailty, let's say, scenarios in a particular geographic area, and make personalized intervention using public funding and public health institution to make, for example, oral care, or, for example, ophthalmological visits for very highly deprived area in the city of Taranto, but it could be also generalized to other cities near Taranto in the same territory under the Just Transition Fund. And the last one is a very good collaboration with several supercomputer or HPC facilities. The first one is probably one of our pride in Italy, that is Cineca, that is in Bologna, is probably in the 14th most powerful supercomputer in the world, and is one of the 7 AI factory in Europe, funded by Europe. So we have very large computational resources to use, and we need it because we are in the area of generative AI, and we are now facing something that you will listen in the future, that is the foundation model era. It's basically something like ChatGPT that could basically do any task you ask. Basically, those kind of AI is more applicable, let's say, in a specific knowledge base, and our idea is to build up this foundation model that is still in the, let's say, in the design phase, to use unused data, because we are overwhelmed by data. We also have different collaboration in Horizon EU call involving Canadian friends from the University of Laval and Montreal and McGill University, but University of Tartu and the city of Tallinn with Hans Oru as well, in the creation of this foundation model to use the environmental data to make, let's say, to aim to a zero pollution city that is one of the European target for the 2030. Those 3 centers will combine different kind of knowledges, but the principal aim is also to attract people from abroad, because the idea is to let's say, make the open innovation go outside boundaries, also in terms of geographic boundaries, because it's very important to have also different views from international stakeholders, not only scientists, but also stakeholders like or policymakers, like in this event. So for us, the trail, it's quite clear. We're just waiting for the start by the administrative part, but we are pretty sure that at the end of this year everything will start, and we will have very small time to do the things, because the end of JTF basically is now. So we have to run faster and to have also some collaboration, some integration by all our international partners. So sorry for the long story short, but it's...
Thank you,
okay,
thank you, Rodolfo. Now we move to Ruggera Sarcina. I want to ask you to represent the experience of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Canada.
Yes, thank you. I was asked, first of all, thank you, Rodolfo and Marco, for inviting me. I was asked to prepare a brief speech on the value of transnational collaboration. I did it.
Yes.
I'm going to read it, so better for me, it's easier if I move to the lectern.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So really, it's a real pleasure to be here today to speak about the real and strategic value of transnational collaboration, especially when it becomes a concrete tool for accelerating territorial transformation. We are living in a pivotal moment for our environment, you know. We are no longer just identifying challenges, but actively working to heal, restore, and regenerate. And in this context, Canada stands out as a frontier ecosystem, a country that has invested significantly in enabling technologies such as artificial intelligence, now essential to any serious green transition. 7 years ago, we launched as Chamber the Italian-Canada Forum on Artificial Intelligence, born from a shared recognition that innovation must be open, collaborative, and global. Over time, the forum has become a platform where researchers, centers, institutions, startups, and policymakers engage in a practical cooperation, developing AI-driven solutions for Earth, climate, energy, and inclusive growth. The institutional framework has grown stronger each year, thanks to broader political commitments, such as Italy-Canada Roadmap for Enhanced Cooperation, launched during the G7 in Puglia last year. We now have a solid foundation for deepening our joint work. This includes areas such as climate mitigation, health, recycling, hydrogen. And later that same year, our two governments launched the Italy-Canada Joint Advisory Group for AI. And more recently, new agreements are being prepared to expand collaboration on critical raw materials and renewable energy. Within this broader context, the city of Taranto has emerged as one of the most forward-looking actors on the Italian side. Through the Calliope project, Taranto has embraced internationalization not as a communication and marketing strategy, but as a concrete tool to build partnership and co-develop solutions. Taranto, the Calliope team, first attended the AI Forum in 2023 to explore, to observe. Just 1 year later, last year, they returned as a key player of the forum. And over the past few months, this dream team have submitted a Horizon Europe proposal involving Canadian University Research Center and municipal partners, participated in field experimentation, strengthened institutional relations, and prepared a new joint Horizon bid, and help accelerate the growth of startups within their ecosystem. Of course, internationalization goes both ways. Real collaboration must be bilateral. Canada is not only looking to export innovation, it's actively seeking partner territories. places where it can test, adapt, and co-develop technology and government models. Taranto can offer Canada, for example, 4 key assets. First, it's a real-world testbed in a complex setting. As an industrial port city facing ecological and health-related challenges, Taranto is ideal for testing port decarbonization solution, integrated environmental and health data system, and AI for coastal and marine monitoring. Second, it offers real use cases, not simulation, from marine biodiversity to chronic disease, air pollution, preventive public health. Taranto deals with tangible issues, exactly the kind of real-world context that Canadian R&D centers seek for developing predictive model and AI tools. Third, it brings a unique combination of scientific and applied expertise. There are, of course, R&D actors such as university and emerging tech firm and a startup. In this way, this area combines clinical, environmental, and technological knowledge in ways that are especially valuable for co-innovation. And fourth, Taranto provides a direct entry point into the Horizon Europe framework for the Canadian stakeholder and university and R&D centers. Now that Canada is part of Horizon, working with Taranto gives Canadian partners immediate access to active European consortium and funding opportunities. At the same time, Canada, and particularly the innovation ecosystem Montreal, offers Taranto substantial value. It brings tested innovation model, the integration, for example, of university, hospital, venture capital, and public funding is well established in Canada and is highly relevant for a city like Taranto, where a similar system is currently under development. It offers a ready-to-use technology, AI for medical imaging, prediction tool, and more robotics already. Marine robotics are already in use in Quebec and in Ontario, could help Taranto accelerate its local innovation capacity. It opens pathways for talent mobility. Canada is interested in developing joint PhD, research residency, and startup exchanges between the two ecosystems. And this would allow local professionals to gain international experience while remaining rooted in their home ecosystem. And finally, Canada provides co-investment tools. We have a specific program already designed to co-finance innovation projects with international partners. This is why the Just Transition Fund, once operational, can play a crucial role, not to start something new, but to give continuity and scale to what is already underway. It can help engage new stakeholders, stabilize what's been built, and accelerate implementation in both scientific research and the real economy. Because what Taranto and Canada are doing together is not longer experimental. It's a concrete framework for innovation, and it's working. And of course, we are not stopping here. While we wait to the full implementation of Just Transition Fund opportunity, Taranto will once again be among the key participants of the next AI Forum in Montreal next November. We look forward to building on this momentum, deepening partnerships, scaling impact, and consolidating a shared space of opportunity between the two ecosystems, although geographical distances are clearly aligned. So thank you, see you in Montreal, and of course also our new friends from Estonia, really welcome in Montreal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruggera, for your interesting intervention. Thank you. Now I want to conclude this round table with Bogdana. I invite you to represent the social aspect, the important social aspect to achieve the main objectives, the aims of GTF. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the invitation from my side as well. And thank you, Laurie, for mentioning some important aspects of the things we are working on. I'm a PhD student. I'm a junior research fellow in transition studies at the University of Tartu. And I have the luck or the honor to be part of a research team which is working on questions of labor market in terms of the just transition. So there are many things around us changing at the moment, and my supervisors managed to explain like other parts that participate in the just transition process, that the social science perspective is very important. Because for us, the main interest is to answer the research questions about how the labor market, so the job situation, can adapt to the things happening like in context of just transition. And for example, to get the first insights, and to cover like the experiences of different groups of the society, we organize interviews and questionnaires. So at the moment there are 2 questionnaires running, the first for the entrepreneurs and the second one for the civil society. But more or less they have similar focuses, like for example well-being or financial stability or the life quality in general or future plans in general. So they're running at the moment, so we are looking forward to results in September. But there are a lot of interviews which I, for example, did with local entrepreneurs and the representatives of the sector of education. The experiences I want to share are that, for example, during the interviews I did with the entrepreneurs, they were very like skeptical. So maybe it's important to mention that they don't really have trust, that they don't really trust the process, maybe because of the lack of the information, maybe because of the lack of understanding of the things happening around them. But when they hear the keyword like just transition, for example, as I organized the interviews, for them, like it was, and they associated it with innovation and hope. So even if they don't understand the details, it's like keyword just transition. Do you have time for an interview? Yes, because it's like something modern, something innovative. And the interesting connection between, like, for example, the interviews I did with the representative of the educational sector is that people trust the education. So why education is important in terms of the labor market? Of course, because they prepare the labor force, like the resources for the labor market. And we did interviews with 2 main like schools in the region Ida-Virumaa in Estonia, like the schools which offer vocational trainings, courses that are funded by the Just Transition Fund. So that's the college of the university, Narva College of the University of Tartu, and the School of Vocational Education in Ida-Virumaa. But they offer like courses that are funded by the Just Transition Fund. And I made interviews with the teachers and the participants of those courses. And interesting fact as well is that I would say that whether the teachers, the course participants understand like fully the just transition process, but they trusted the education. So for the entrepreneurs, for the people who are teaching or learning, they associate it with hope and trust, like in some kind of a better future. So yeah, and the first results show that people definitely want to learn. They want to stay active, for example, even if they lose their jobs and they're ready to do something. But they don't really understand, I would say, the rules of the game. So they don't know, they don't really understand what they should do, what they could learn, what they should learn, and where do they can go afterwards. So, yeah, the interesting facts, conclusions based on the first results. So, main keyword is skills, not only hard technical skills, but as well, for example, in my first research article, I'm going to write about the soft skills. And the second main keyword are the work conditions, so the so-called decent work, so not just a new job in a new industry, in a new factory. Actually, the people, I would say, expect to have a whole new world with decent work conditions. So it's not just one factory replaced by another factory, it's much more. And to avoid unemployment, jobs should match the training programs, and the training programs should match this decent work. And at the same time, of course, companies need support to train and hire the workers. And very, very important is that we need simple rules to build trust. Because, like, maybe to conclude, the first results or our whole like research project at the moment shows that we should keep in mind that the just transition is not only about climate goals, it's much more, it's about people's lives and future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks to all our guests, and thanks to Valeria Ancona, National Research Council, for hosting this panel. Thank you again, Valeria. And before the next session, just a test to check if Rodolfo is prepared on the agenda. What we have right now?
Coffee break, signori.
Thank you. 5 minutes of coffee break. Okay, let's start again. Please take your seats. Okay, let's start again. We are approaching the last session of the day where we talk about just transition. We are talking about change, so it's important in this process to involve all the necessary stakeholders that can enable this change. That's why I have the pleasure to introduce Anna Sandrini, the program manager of Pharos, for the next talk, for the next speech. Thank you very much, first of all, for joining us, and have a nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Metto la mia roba. Uso questo per restare. Ok. Un attimo. Mi metto in forma, così. In inglese? In inglese, giusto? Quindi vorrei fare il switch. Ok, assolutamente. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I would like to anticipate just two things. First, I have today 25 slides and just 10 minutes. So wish me luck. The second, in the coming minutes, if you hear a mix of Italian, English, Arabic, that's perfectly normal, because I come from Syria, where I was a social entrepreneur who faced the war with innovative solutions and impact-driven startups. But today, I have the honor of beautiful Italy home and leading Pharos, the first Italian accelerator dedicated to the blue economy. That's it. Without further ado, let's kick off with a video about Pharos, short video about Pharos, and then we will continue.
Pharos è il primo acceleratore dedicato alla Blue Economy in Italia. Nasce nel 2021 su iniziativa di CDP Venture Capital SGR con l'obiettivo di promuovere un'economia del mare che sia a sostegno di uno sviluppo sostenibile e innovativo. Opera su 2 hub strategici, Taranto e La Spezia, 2 territori chiave del Blue Economy, sostenendo start-up e imprese nel loro percorso di crescita e nello sviluppo delle loro tecnologie e innovazioni.
Coinvolge più di 20 realtà tra istituzioni e corporate partner. Abbiamo costruito un network di più di 60 mentor nazionali e internazionali che supportano le nostre start-up nello sviluppo del business.
Pharos è stato networking innovativo, stimolante.
Pharos rappresenta un esempio di eccellenza all'interno di questa infrastruttura per la capacità di abilitare connessioni con i corporate partner, con gli attori istituzionali, risponde alla mission di CDP di supportare innovazione portando nuove idee e imprese innovative sul mercato in settori come quello della transizione energetica e l'innovazione portuale che sono strategici anche per il Paese.
Supportiamo le start-up a 360 gradi, dall'idazione fino al go-to-market. Un percorso strutturato per costruire un'Italia più forte, più innovativa e più sostenibile.
Nelle 3 edizioni di Pharos sono state accelerate e supportate 25 start-up. Sono 3,2 milioni di euro gli importi complessivi tra investimenti iniziali e follow-on. Questo si traduce in un impatto concreto, infatti le start-up hanno raccolto un importo complessivamente che supera i 15 milioni di euro. È un ecosistema in crescita e un percorso in continua evoluzione che vuole supportare le soluzioni che rispondono alle sfide di oggi.
Eccomi di nuovo. That was Pharos. Now, what I will share with you today? I will respond to this question by this image. It's clear. Information versus lessons. Actually, I'm not here to share information that you can get it with ChatGPT in just 1 second. I'm here to share real experience, real practical lessons from our experience, from our story. So my presentation is about 4 deep truth principles that shape Pharos and guide us in our mission, the Blue Transition Mission, starting from Taranto. Because personally, I believe that what transforms us, not what we know, but what we live, what we experience, right? So let's start with the first truth. Change isn't born on a stage, it's born on the ground. You know, in the world of business and entrepreneurship, ideas alone are worth 0. The execution is what matters. So, Pharos has a mission, clear, strong mission, to make a positive change in this sector, blue economy, that represents around 10% of national GDP and employs more than 1 million people. So the mission is big. How do we do? How can we achieve this change? By pitching, by demo day, by trainings? Absolutely no. For that reason, what we have done is 2 strategic hubs in Taranto and La Spezia, where actions meet potential. So we are working on the ground, not just making a demo day and event. We have delivered more than 1,000 hours of training, of consulting, of networking, of connecting, activating the whole ecosystem as much as we can. And absolutely, we couldn't have created these places without the support and the incredible support from our strategic partners. Here we go. Partners of Taranto, CDP Venture Capital, Autorità Portuale, A-Cube, Fincantieri, Enijaul, BCC, RINA e anche Comune di Taranto, Camera di Commercio e anche Università di Bari a Taranto. While in La Spezia, in addition to GDP e anche as well Autorità, there is Whale Up, Credit Agricole, Duferco as co-investors and main partner as Fincantieri, Comune di Spezia, corporate partners the same, Fondazione Cari Spezia e Promo Studi della Spezia. Comunque, anyway, faccio switch. Anyway, the way we see our partners is like that. Partners don't just support the startups. They support us to create a better future. So as Pharos, we don't see our partners just about sponsorship, about money. We see him as co-creators of our future, where all of us, we can thrive. This is the first truth. The second one, impact. Impact isn't what we say, it's how we operate. At Pharos, impact isn't a buzzword, isn't label. It's a choice. Let me explain how. At first, startups saw impact as a side pillar, as KPI to report. In some sense, it didn't exist, unfortunately. What we are working with the startups is the following: moving from this situation into this situation, putting impact at the core of the business, the foundation of the entire business, where decisions born, not just promises, not just words, not just social media. Here is the right place if we would like to make an impactful business. With this approach, we have accelerated 25 startups, innovative startups, that they are working in key areas in the sector that define our seas, our future. So they are trying to make business, to make money, but also to make a better future and to make a difference in Italy and Europe. As a conclusion for this truth, sustainability doesn't live in slides. It lives in choice. This is Pharos. The third truth: invention can happen alone, innovation never does. You know, innovation alone is a risk. Innovation within network is a multiplier. So, for that reason, we have created and built a strong community, a strong ecosystem around Pharos, bringing together international and national blue economy networks, research and innovation centers, universities, public and private companies. I would like just to say something here, that they are not logos, they are not names, they are hands, they are minds, they are, let's say, the whole ecosystem of support. So they support startups to grow, to move beyond the Pharos accelerator, and also to make a difference, at least to open new windows for new perspectives. For us, funds fuel that start. We all need funds. But we see our approach is just fueling the beginning. But if we want to go far, we need allies. So the more allies we have, the more far we go and faster. The final one is scaling startups is good. Scaling ecosystems is transformative. You know, startup is like a seed. Even if it has great potential, but if the soil is poor, everything will go to waste. Will happen nothing. So if we need a true transition, a true impact, true change, we need to accelerate not just startups, projects, initiatives. We need to accelerate ecosystems. So the question here, Pharos in this complicated sector, how is accelerating the ecosystem of blue economy in Italy? That's huge. My answer is in a few words: by real actions, not big hopes or big words. So, to confirm this, I would, with great enthusiasm, share with you that 10 days ago, we launched the fourth edition of Pharos to support more startups, to accelerate and activate more the ecosystem and to make Italy more sustainable and innovative. It will be more ambitious than ever, and here are our promises: empowerment, capacity building through growth-oriented, impact-driven, and AI-powered, as well as open innovation, where we're gonna give opportunity to startups to test their solutions with our corporate partners, investment between initial investment and follow-on, partnerships. We're gonna have new partners to support us, who believed in us, in our mission, and also to expand our impact. Along the way, personalized support, mentoring, networking, and as foundation, always sustainability path. I will finish with just this photo, because I would like to share a message with you. Taranto is a beautiful, maybe it's a small Italian city, but what it's doing through Pharos is so big, so big. Big enough to face the most systemic risk of our all time to our economies, societies, and environments. I'm not exaggerating. I will explain. You know, economically, let's talk economically. Did you know that 90% of global trade moves by ocean and sea? Socially, did you know that over 3 billion people rely on the ocean as a vital source of food? Environmentally, did you know that the just ocean produces more than half of the oxygen we breathe? It's equal to all world's forests combined. So Taranto through Pharos is responding to this goal, to this urgent goal, to this impactful mission. This is Taranto. It's doing by acting, not just waiting and talking. It's doing by doing more good and not just less harm. This is Pharos. This is Taranto. If you believe, like what we do, that the future must be regenerative, let's talk, let's connect, let's act and build it together. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you, Anas. Thank you, and congratulations for the work you are developing with Pharos. I invite you. Yeah, it's a pleasure. You are welcome to. I invite you to come in Calliope in order to start developing together synergies. We have an important ecosystem of startup that we developed in the last 2 years, and probably your support could be really useful in order to increase the opportunities. Thank you very much again. And now we are approaching the last session. As I mentioned in this morning, these 2 days of working, yes, because we started yesterday with the closing door session. We had the opportunity to have a really detailed working session with our Estonian guest, and today we gave you an overview about the Estonian approach in implementing the Just Transition Fund. But we aim together with the Estonian delegation to create also a main output of these 2 days of working together. We start working yesterday to a draft of a memorandum of understanding that we are going to present you, to introduce you right now, And that's why I invite here on the stage my colleague Ilaria Bortone, Program Manager of Meditech Competence Center and one of the key person of Calliope and Mistral. Ilaria, please take the stage and introduce us this framework. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you for the nice introduction. I don't know if you can share the draft, so the document. So basically, as Marco mentioned, this document is just a preliminary draft that stems from the valuable discussion that we had yesterday, because the motivation behind this document is the fact that we want to establish a mutual, lasting and meaningful partnership between Italy and Estonia that does not include only the municipality and the association of local counties in Estonia, but it's open to all the networks, so the partner, the institutions, the research centers that are connected with the site in these 2 days to meet together. So basically this memorandum of understanding, which here you see the first draft, it starts from the common sense of engagement and challenges that these two places are facing, and on the background of the fact that they both received the Just Transition Fund. So starting from this point, we decided to draft this framework of cooperation that mainly focus on 3 areas that are the areas that yesterday we discussed. So if we can just scroll a little bit down. So the areas of cooperation are basically sustainability, green skills and green digital skills and social innovation, and open innovation and business opportunities. As mentioned today during the different discussion, first of all, as also Faros introduced, sustainability is the background and the basis for everything. So sustainability is something that we need to discuss together, and we can mutually, be, as I say, we can mutually promote this sustainability approach and gain something from each other. Then there are green digital skills and social innovation. So foster the capacity building in green and digital competencies is something that we need to encourage. Also, green digital skills may also enable support inclusion, inclusive participation through training, knowledge sharing, and also cooperative project. And so this is also another background that we need to focus on. And then there is open innovation and business opportunities. I mean, we need to promote in this transition also the creation of a new business and open opportunities. So we need to stimulate this open innovation approach as the ones that we have done together. And how we can cooperate and so follow for this area of cooperation. We just shared some idea. So in terms of exchange of delegation and researchers, since we talked about the university representative here, as well as for the municipality and the local authorities. So we can promote this exchange. We can organize workshops and events like the one that we have in those days. So that could be a fruitful occasion in order to discuss and mutually agree on new next steps that we want to follow, but also promote the joint project proposal and funding application between, as I mentioned, the network that these 2 countries may put together. And also sharing of best practice initiatives, but also mutual visits and networking, because each of us has also another background of networking, and so we can mutually benefit from each other in this sense. The last part of this draft of this agreement is just basically to also how we can implement it. So the idea is also to, this is not a legally binding document, it's just a mutual cooperation that we want to start, but we would like also to introduce some representative. I mean, here we just mentioned the municipality and the local authorities, but probably there will be more than one representative per each part in order to cover the different areas of cooperation that we mentioned. And this is just the first step. I mean, then the final part of the document is just saying that we need to start this cooperation. It will last at least 3 years, and we can enlarge it or so extend the period. But basically, the idea is to, make a starting point and make the best of these 2 days in order to start this cooperation and then open this cooperation to all the network, all the partners that wants to promote innovation and cooperation between the different countries. So,
thank you. Thank you, Ilaria, and thanks for supporting this result. Now we have 10 minutes that could be useful for any kind of questions that you want to do to our team or our guests, Estonian guests. Any kind of suggestions or thought is well accepted, and it's also a way to develop this kind of topics together. Anyone? No one? So I invite here our colleague Rodolfo Sardone to share some
closing remarks,
to highlight the key points of this collaboration and make a sort of a final wrap-up of these 2 days. Thank you.
Grazie Marco, thank you. It's quite simple because we have, let's say, several elaboration during those days also in terms of what to do as next step. And I think that we could start from this paper, from this work, from this sort of general agreement. And it's very important not just to have a sort of handshaking, but also to, let's say, increase the possibilities to collaborate to specific projects and to have a sort of umbrella coverage of every activity that we could do with the Estonian partners. Particularly, we have defined 3 different ideas or, let's say, pathways to follow. Basically, the first one is more oriented to the scientific, let's say, but also innovation part. So it's a research and innovation, particularly in collaborative research about the sustainability. It's not just health, despite we are working in public health sector and public health research, but it's not just health. It's not just on health, but is the idea of something that would be more related to the sustainability, to the general purpose of sustainability. That means that we will have collaboration in terms of scientific collaboration. For example, we have already had a collaboration in Horizon Call. We probably have several others in the next months. It's important to start this type of projects, despite our very, let's say, specific and needs several competencies and scientific backgrounds. It's very important to sit and start to study, start to learn about a specific topic. It's a moment also for us that usually are messing with everything in terms of, I don't know, administrative part, project management, and whatever is the time to make sort of, moment of insight and to learn something new, also from other partners. And I think that this approach could be a game changer because it starts different kind of, training program or training purposes. It's a moment of, it's a cultural improvement, let's say. On the other hand, we have a second pathway that should be followed after this, let's say, agreement that is more oriented to the education and culture. It's very important also to involve not only the productive activities, researcher, innovation, let's say, innovation partners, but also innovative partners, but also people that deal with heritage. It's important for us because we have very ancient heritage. It's important also for Estonia because they have very important culture, different that could be very different in terms of, for example, behavior like diet or, I don't know, type of approach with the nature of something that could improve our heritage. And this sharing could be also very important in this phase of transition, because it's not just a fact of innovation, but it's also is a sort of self-improvement. And it should start from this kind of collaboration, and particularly on the social innovation part, because we were talking about several topics, but one of the most important topics is also, for example, one that Hans raised about the, let's say, perception of job security. This is something that could be related also to health, particularly to mental health. So to have a sustainability also in terms of which is my pathway, which is my personal career trail, which is if my objective of life could be fulfilled by my environment. It's very important, because it's a sort of determination, autodetermination that could be impactful on the mental health and general well-being of the population. And the third part, it's more on the innovation, and I think that we could share several experiences in Taranto with the Estonian partners, but we could also learn a lot from Estonian partners in terms of open innovation and crowdsourcing of the ideas to fulfill some specific needs, particularly public administration needs. You had a very good example of how to make a good project of a circular economy, just using the rare earth and becoming basically the last reserve in terms of rare earth that could be also competing with China or with the other kind of other countries that could be involved in this, challenging, particularly in the future, for several reasons that you know better than me. So I think that the open innovation path is, in this case, but I think that generally is one of the best practice that we can adopt and also, let's say, disseminate in our productive activities, also at the local level. That means that we should not just think to very rocket science or science fiction things, but we could also make innovation in using, for example, traditional way of make agriculture, or particularly for the diet, to come back to the roots of our Mediterranean diet to improve the health of the population. This needs innovative methods, because it's now complicated, considering that we are overwhelmed, for example, by ultra-processed foods. And one of the ideas could be to modify the behavior, modify the policy in terms of food policy at local level more than at general level, because we have the, let's say, the authority to do it, and sometimes we consider it a problem that somebody else could solve in the future. But it's our, let's say, those are innovations that could modify our behavior, that could have an impact, a direct impact, a short-term impact on our economy. So the translation, let's say, of this thought in practice, starting from this very important agreement for me and for us, I guess it's a moment of, let's say, self-improvement. So it's we are very glad to have you here as our guests, and we should learn a lot from your experience, and I think that we should increase the frequency of our meeting and make more specific agreement in different direction, also involving the other friends that are joining us on this table, particularly Canadian friends. Let's say, no, you are Italian, not Canadian, but and also the people that are engaged in several branches of our work. So thank you, Marco, for the transition from consultant to communication manager to a professional, let's say, presenter. So it's to be a start to
quite challenging, but
quite
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to
everybody's,
do it.
let's say, everybody's get his own transition here.
Yeah,
so it's,
yeah. Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you to Rodolfo Sardone that. Thank you to Rodolfo Sardone that is bringing a lot of value to the city of Taranto and also to the ecosystem that we are developing. Obviously, we are going to update you about the next step of this collaboration. Yeah? Please, Hardy, let me.
If I may,
yeah,
just the
of course.
final words. Once again, from the Estonian delegation side, many thanks to you that we have a possibility to come here and to experience the real Italian hospitality and genuine Italian. It was very, very good, and also thank you for preparing and leading those fruitful discussions we had yesterday and today's sessions, and to preparing the draft of our agreement. It's so the first steps are done. Now we have to go further, and personally, for myself today, the most like inspiring was the closing remarks of the first session from the Brussels, represented by the Vice President of the European Parliament. So it's very rare that from Brussels coming that kind of very clear and especially emotional messages. So it was really touching, and despite it was in Italian, I tried to follow the translation, and it was very motivating for me. After the speech, I just wanted to jump up and say, "Si, signora, we continue working." So let's do that. So many thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you to Hardy and his colleagues. We will update you on the next step. We thank you, all of you that take part to this event today. And
we need a picture. We need a picture.
Yeah, of course. So I invite you here to take a picture, Lori, Hardy, and all the people that... Hans, please reach us here. Okay, we are, yeah. Feliciana, where is Feliciana? Okay. Come. Anas, please. One more because we missed Ruggera. One more picture, please, Ruggera. Exactly. You were covered by the photographer. Thank you all again.